All right, thank you so much. Welcome to another episode of the Sales Story and a Tip podcast. Sales Story and a Tip is a sub-brand of the Sales Game Changers podcast. You could read all of our transcriptions. Go to salesgamechangerspodcast.com, and today go to salesgamechangers.com and select /Russ Broomell. Russ, it's great to see you. I want to let people know if you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, go up and give us a 5-star review. We would greatly appreciate it. If you're watching us on YouTube, give us a comment and a thumbs up. And by the way, I guess I'd introduce myself. My name is Fred Diamond. Of course, I'm the founder of the Institute for Excellence in Sales, and Russ, over 750 sales game changers and sales story and a tip podcast. All right, it's great to have you today. Again, Sales Story and a Tip. We bring on a sales leader across multiple industries. We ask them to tell us a great, inspiring sales story, and then we ask them for a tip that they learned from that story. All right, we got Russ Broomell. Russ, tell us a little bit of an introduction. Let us know who you are.
Sure, absolutely. I've been in sales my whole life, but only in the last 5 years have I actually had sales in my title. So I've led sales teams and done sales activity in all kinds of stuff. These days, I am selling the patently unsexy software, is maybe the least sexy software you can have, but it is the core of the internet. And so our customers are big companies that are internet service providers. It's super interesting to me, but very dull to most people who don't know how the internet runs. So
Well, there's a lot of boring software out there that
Yep.
I used to sell mainframe technology fixes,
There you
and
go.
it was worth a couple $1 billion per year. This was back in the 90s. All right, Russ, I'm excited to hear your sales story. So, Russ Broomell, tell us a great sales story.
I want to go way back, way back. So my title was marketing manager, and I was working for what was then a standalone company, Konica. Today they're merged with Minolta and other folks, right? So, and we were in their commercial film and paper division. That's the stuff that printers used to make printing plates from back in the day before everything was digital. And my boss told me, go out and walk around with some of the salespeople, meet some of the customers. You're in marketing, you need to know what customers like. Okay, great. And we went out to I went to Indianapolis first, and went to the big newspaper in Indianapolis, and suit and tie and everything. And we walk into the procurement office and a couple-hour meeting with the procurement people, and this is what the sales guys do. Okay, just debrief afterwards. And the afternoon we go out and see a large commercial printer and talk to their CEO and stuff. And okay, this is what salespeople do. Oh, no problem. Understand. Sales is very boring. What is this, right? I went up the next day to Detroit and actually went around with the number one sales guy in the company. And we walked into the Detroit Free Press, the big newspaper in Detroit. And we didn't walk in the front office. We walked in the back loading dock, and we went through the press room, and he shook everybody's hand, and he told stories, and he heard about people's holidays and talked about their kids. And we had little handouts, little utility knives. You probably have one in your drawer, Fred, the little kinds where you break off the blade, the end of the blade, super useful. Handed those out by the dozen to everybody. And after about an hour and a half, we finally make our way to the procurement person and sit down with them and have a great meeting. Same thing. In the afternoon, we go out to a commercial printer, and he goes right into the press room, and he's talking with everybody and, meeting everybody. Now, the conversations were similar. When you talk to the procurement person, you ask about their family and what's going on. You talk to the press person, you ask about their family, what's going on. And I went and said, why? What is this? Is this just like you're just a super outgoing person? Is this what you're doing? And he said, well, my territory is Michigan. It's not the best territory in the world. He said, but you will see that I am leading the company. Okay. He said, if the pressman doesn't like it, it ain't going to work. So you got to make friends with a pressman. You got to make friends with everybody who's using the product. And I was like blown away that sales was not about quoting a price and coming to a contract. Sales was about knowing all the people and all of their needs and all of that stuff. And just it opened my eyes to a very, very different kind of thing that I was looking outside, looking in. You go, oh, the sales guys, as they go and have meetings with the C-level and whatnot. And I have carried that little nugget. If the press guy don't like it, it ain't going to work. I've carried that with me now, geez, since last century.
That's a great example. And a lot of people who are listening to the Sales Game Changers podcast are B2B and
Hmm.
B2G, business to government, typically enterprise sales. And a lot of people, when they start out, they think it's about, having a conversation. But what they don't realize is in a lot of the bigger deals, there may be 6, 10, 12 people
Hmm.
involved in the decision. And even someone like the press guy who may not necessarily be involved in the buying decision, uh, he can give feedback along the way. And if
Yep.
he gives feedback, just a random person that you don't know about because you're focused on the director of IT and the C-suite and procurement because they're the ones who are going to negotiate. And we hear this
Hmm.
all the time, Russ. They lost a deal. Well, why'd you lose the deal? And you don't know all this perfect information. You know that the procurement guy is negotiating with you. You know
Hmm.
that your big competitor is whomever, and there's a report out there that says that you're better than them and that
Yep.
they've seen that report. But, a lot of times we lose deals because of something like that. It's not because of the pricing. It's not because of a feature. It's because maybe someone in admin who uses it every day
Yep.
says, this doesn't print right. Or I remember that I heard that story once a long time ago where a customer said we lost a big deal because they couldn't figure out how to print.
Hmm.
I worked for Apple Computer, and there was a certain way you would hit print, but if you knew how to use the DOS machines, you had to do like 5 keys. Well, this person knew the 5 keys,
Yeah.
and she couldn't figure out how to make them print on the Apple. Well, that's a great story, and I could picture you going into the back room,
Yep.
right? And I could picture you going in the front room, and as a marketing person, you wore your suit that day, and
Hmm.
when I worked at Apple Computer, my boss, I was in marketing as well. My boss said, you're going to be in every sales meeting.
Yep.
They're not going to know why you're there, but eventually you're going to start adding value. Give us a tip. Give us a
Yeah.
tip that you learned from those stories.
Well, I think that that phrase, if the pressman doesn't like it, it ain't going to work. That applies to everything, right? Like you said, and today we have fancy words for that, like multi-threading the deal and things like that. But I found out over time, and I've put that into practice in every kind of sales role, even having officially sales in my title now. Um, I want to talk to the users. I want to talk to the people who are in software, the administrators of the software, the people who are making the servers run, right? Because they will tell me, hey, by the way, so and so was in here last week talking to us. By the way, we're upgrading to that. That's going to break your something, right? Procurement won't know that. The C-suite won't know that. The folks who operate it know that. And I've pushed back on CEOs and sales managers over the years who say, no, 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 go to the C-suite. Go talk to the executive vice president. Go talk to hang on, I'll get there. But I need to go here first and find out what the game on the ground is. And in coaching people and helping them, figure that out, I say just go to the people who are using your stuff. Go to the people who are using what you sell. You will learn way more than you'll get from the executive and the procurement person and everybody else.
No, that's a great point. And actually, a lot of times we talk on the Sales Game Changers podcast and at the Institute for Excellence in Sales that it's really easy to get a first meeting with someone in IT
Hmm.
because, especially if you're going to offer a demo, they want to see technology. They may not
Yep.
be able to have a decision or they're not going to make a change, but for them to have value at the company, they need to know what everybody's doing,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
they'll see demos and they'll see a lot of demos and they'll go watch demos, etc. And I love what you just said, knowing who to ask those types of questions to get an information nugget that you're not going to get from, like you said, the C-suite or director of procurement, who are basically looking at you as a line on a spreadsheet, right?
Yep.
As compared to where all the nuances and everything you're going to
Yeah,
fit.
and I can't count the number of times that I have gotten the little bit of nugget of information that actually closed the deal from somebody who is not at the buyer's table, who is not, they're not signing anything, but they've told me, oh, yeah, we can probably roll this software out in about 2 weeks. It won't take us the 6 weeks or 3 months or whatever the other guys are talking about. Oh, let me go tell the CEO that, right?
Yeah, yeah,
All
I
kinds of
love that.
stuff, all
Yeah,
kinds of stuff.
I love that story. And I can picture the guy in Detroit, who went through the back door, and he probably had some of the grease on his hands,
Yep.
from shaking hands with the press guy. And I like the fact that he brought all the things. And one of the challenges we talk about in sales is that relationships are very important.
Hmm.
They're not the most important thing anymore because customers have access to data and to AI to help them make better financial decisions along the way. So
Hmm.
you need to be at that level as a sales professional. But, knowing the people who are using your technology and using your solutions can lead to a lot of long-term success. All right,
Absolutely.
I want to thank Russ for being on today's Sales Story and a Tip podcast. Remember, if you're watching this on YouTube, go up, give us a thumbs up. We'd appreciate it. If you're watching this on Apple Podcasts, please give us a 5-star review. My name is Fred Diamond.